It's Friday, it's 2 p.m. in the UK, it's 9 a.m. on the East Coast of America, and it's Friday, and therefore that means it's Ask Angelika with Angelika Davey. Hello, Angelika.
Hello, Stephen.
Right,
hello, whoever may be watching.
Indeed, welcome to the show. Over the next 15-20 minutes, you're about to learn, well, Angelika will explain, but this is Ask Angelika, episode 32, and I've been told to take a back seat while Angelika explains today's topic.
Yes, it is. I have been asked on several occasions by students who are struggling with this tiny little three-letter word ear. And the reason why they're struggling with it, because ear can have several meanings. Actually, there are 5 different types of ear. And so several times people have asked me, and I actually couldn't quite understand why they were struggling, because, well, obviously to me it makes a lot of sense. But I did a bit of research and I looked in grammar books, and the grammar books cover the word ear in the appropriate places. So in this topic, in that topic, in that topic, but not all together. So I actually wrote a blog post for Monday, this last Monday, with an infographic with 5 possibilities of those sentences. Since then, I've realized why it is such a problem. And that is because when you're learning German, well, actually, when you're learning any language, often you come across a word and you just panic. Oh no, there it is again. This dreaded word ear, and I don't know what it means. And they forget to actually look around the text, if it's a text they're reading, to look what's been said before or what's been said afterwards. Yeah, we don't panic in English. Yeah, if somebody said, "What are you doing?" as an example, this is the quickest one I could think of just now, you don't sit there and panic. Do they mean me on my own, or do they mean me and the other people? Because you work it out. And that's what happens with any word. Normally, if in English, if we have the one word or 2 meanings, we don't panic what the meaning is. We can work it out by what's been said or what has been written beforehand. Whereas most of the times when you're a learner, you forget about that one, and you just see the one sentence, the one random sentence, or it looks random to you, and you think, oh no, I don't know what it is. So I've given you 4 random sentences out of context. And your task this time, we're actually doing what I'd rather my students didn't do, but I want you to work out what it means, especially the word ear. And then we look at possible scenarios, because what could have been written beforehand or what could have been said beforehand, so that it makes sense. And this is your cue to put the first sentence up.
You want me to put the first sentence on the screen?
Yeah. Okay.
And by tradition, I actually read it out. Angelika corrects my pronunciation and then goes on to explain. So first sentence is, Wo ist Ihr Sohn?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautifully said. Wo ist Ihr Sohn?
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. Which is, where is your son? But it's not as simple as that, is it?
Well, no, you're absolutely correct. This is as simple as it is. How did you work out that the ear in this case is your?
That's an excellent question. I didn't even think about it. I just did it. I mean, it was. But you best explain how I got at it.
Right. If this was part of a text, so there we are. It is, where is your son? And the your is the formal you, and that can be singular or plural. And if it's a written text, what's giving it away is the speech marks and the capital I in ear. Because normally pronouns aren't written with capital letters, except the formal you. And the speech marks tell you that somebody is addressing somebody directly, because the formal you would only be used in a direct speech. If you're writing a text about somebody else, you would use he or she or they or whichever, but you wouldn't use you. So you is direct approach to somebody. So that's a huge giveaway if you're reading a German text. Yeah, in this case, you would have been reading about a conversation between at least two people, and one of them is asking the other person, where is your son? And they're being polite because they don't know each other, so they're using the formal you.
And that's indicated. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
That's indicated by the capital I.
And that's indicated by the capital I as well. And in spoken German, it most likely means somebody is talking to you directly, in which case you would know what they're talking about. Yeah, if they're asking you, where is your son? You would know. If you're eavesdropping, if you're if you're joining a conversation and that's the only sentence you hear, then you may need to hear a little bit more before you can work out what they were saying. But I don't think that would be a problem.
Nope, indeed. And comment from John, and he's saying it comes naturally to Stephen. That's only because I've been learning German with an excellent tutor for the last nearly 6 years. Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Well said. See, brownie points. Right, on to phrase 2, yes?
Yeah, go on.
And reading phrase 2, das Buch gehört ihr.
Das Buch gehört ihr.
Right, das Buch is the book,
yeah.
And the book belongs to... right, okay, now it's not a capital, so it's not a formal. The book... Well, okay, now I can't see any rhyme or reason for this, but it is das Buch gehört hier, which means the book belongs to her. Could you expand on why it should be so?
Right, you're absolutely right. The book belongs to her. And that is because the verb gehören is followed by the dative. So you need a dative pronoun. This is something that you would have learned at some stage in grammar. And this is where in the grammar topic you would find the word ihr then. The dative pronouns, if something belongs to me, it would have been mir. If it belongs to you, it's dir. Ihm, if it belonged to him. Ihr, if it belonged to her. And that's the only one we've got here. So ihm again for in. There is no other ihr in the dative pronouns apart from her. So that's one way to work it out. If you were going to saying it belongs to you as in the formal you, it would have been das Buch gehört ihnen with a capital I. And that wouldn't be this. That wouldn't be the same word then. So it's got to be the book belongs to her. That's the only choice we have here.
Gotcha. And that's exactly what Kerry-ann is saying, because the book belongs to her.
Yeah.
And that's a very good translation. So there we have it. Right. Okay. Right. Phrase 3, yes?
Yep.
Phrase 3 it is then. And the phrase 3 is was macht ihr?
Yeah. Was macht ihr?
Okay. And I'm going to say, what are you doing?
Absolutely. So what's the you now? Because earlier on we had different one, didn't we?
Well,
so why is you ihr now?
I'm just doing this off instinct. But
no, you're absolutely right, because that's really ideally what you want to happen. You want to happen that people are just doing it automatically by instinct. It's when you're not quite so fluent and you just see. I mean, if you imagine we've just had 3 sentences already Yeah, wo ist Ihr Sohn? Das Buch gehört ihr, was macht ihr? And each time it meant something else. Yeah, and anybody who is still struggling with German, then they may not, but they may panic because they think, why have we got another one now? And why is this a different one? But you're absolutely right. Was macht ihr is what are you doing? And the you in this case is the informal plural you, or which I like to call the you lot, because you wouldn't say, what are you lot doing to business people that you don't know?
Right. If you were to do that, then the ear would have a capital.
No, then it would have been Sie with a capital letter.
Okay.
Because if the personal pronouns, if they are the subject of the sentence, then it's a straightforward ich, du, er, sie, es, wir, ihr, and that's the only one, which is the informal you in the plural. The formal you would be Sie, and that would then be with a capital letter. And there is something else that's giving it away, that it can't be the formal you, which because is the verb.
It's macht, it's in the third person.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
Or second person.
It could be in the third person singular, but then it wouldn't be ihr. Then it would have been was macht sie or was macht er? What is he doing or what is she doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Stephen got. What's he doing?
Oh, right. But
Stephen and I are both learning here, you see, which is good. John's given up. He says he's going to stick to English. It's just too complicated. But Stephen and I are going to stick with it. We'll get there.
So it is not what is he doing. It's because that would be was macht er. So was macht ihr is the plural. And it is the informal you. One other tricky bit with this one is that if you're learning German, or if you started learning German as an adult and you're using an adult textbook, they do cover the informal you a little bit, but most of it is the formal you. Because if you say, for instance, you're going to Germany as a tourist, the chance is that you won't know anybody in Germany, and so you would be using the formal you far more than the informal you. So it doesn't get covered that much, and that's why a lot of adults then who've only learned German as adults rather than at school with the school textbooks, they don't come across the ear very often.
Look, that's led me to wonder if there ever was a formal English you at some point.
Oh, it was the thy and thou and whatever else. Yes, it was. It's gone for a long time. Can't remember how many. Before our time.
Right, okay. So if it's plural, as in a group, was macht here would become, sorry.
No, so it is plural. It is plural. Was macht ihr is, I could be saying that if I'm talking to a group of children. Yeah, if I come into a classroom and I talk to one child and want to know what you're doing, then I would say, was machst du? And if I'm talking to the group, I would say, was macht ihr? Yeah, and that's why I've written you lot, because you talk to your mates, you lot, rather than you would talk to a group of, like I said, business people or anything.
Yeah, and Stephen's observing that ihr is plural.
Yes.
Okay. And John, irreverent as ever, says, does the formal you wear a suit and the informal you wear jeans? I wear jeans all the time, John, whether I'm being formal or informal. Over to you, Angelika.
Well, let's say it in this way. If you're in Germany and they're wearing a suit and you're there on business, I would stick to the formal you until you know better. If they wear jeans, you might want to take the gamble, but don't blame me if they get angry with you. And again, they may not. It's the formal, using the formal you and the informal you is getting more and more complicated in Germany because things are changing in Germany. But when you're talking to adults you don't know, I would stick to the formal you unless you're being told otherwise. It's always the safest. But then again, I wear jeans all the time. I don't have a suit.
And just to recap, we're going with uses of ihr and their various meanings, and we've come to phrase 4.
Yeah.
Are we ready? Shall we?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay. Wer ist Ihr Bruder? Now, this could be translated as, well, it's where is, and Bruder is brother. Okay,
yeah.
So.
Actually, it's not where is, it's who is.
Sorry, who is your, sorry. Cool. Who is brother is what we've got so far.
Yeah.
Now, if it was your brother, it would be deine or ihre. Yeah. If you're going to correct me in a moment, I know you are. But in this particular case, it's singular. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, over to you to explain, because the translation is who is her or their brother.
It actually could mean either, because here we've got a possessive adjective, and if it was mine, then you're right. Wer ist mein Bruder? If I wanted to know who's my brother. Okay. If it was yours, singular informal, you would use dein. Wer ist dein Bruder?
Yeah.
His would be sein. Hers would be ihr. So wer ist ihr Bruder could mean who is her brother. But it could also mean their. So this is one of the sentences where out of context, you really have no idea. Wer ist ihr Bruder could mean who is her brother or who is their brother. And that you would need to work out by what you've read before. Why would you have a sentence like this out of context? You would have read something else beforehand.
Right, and we've got Stephen saying where is his brother, and Kerry-ann is saying who is your brother. And I misled people earlier. It is, in fact, who is her or their brother. But context is important, what you've read before and what you read afterwards.
Yes, because if it means who is her brother, then you would have had something beforehand where the text tells you something about a woman. They would have mentioned her name, they would have talked about it, talked about her, and then they would have said who is her, somebody would have said or wondered who is her brother. If it meant their brother, then it would have been a group of people. Yes, they would have talked about, there would have been some context about a group of people, and then the question would have come up, who is their brother? So when you're reading text, you would be able to work that out. When you're hearing it, when there is a conversation and all you hear is somebody talking and somebody saying, wer ist Ihr Bruder? Now, if you've just joined the conversation, then you may need to do a little bit of asking around if you really wanted to know who they're talking about, because you may not know it straight away. So, but again, you would have possibly heard something beforehand. You would have heard people talking about a woman or a group of people. Just like in English, yeah, nobody out of context would say, who's her brother? At least you would have mentioned her name. Oh, did you know Angelika, the German teacher? Oh, yeah, I wonder who her brother is. Yeah, nobody would just say, who's her brother or who's their brother. Now, when you're hearing it and you can't read it and you cannot see speech marks or capital letters, then wer ist Ihr Bruder could also mean who is your brother, because then it would have been with a capital letter.
Hang on.
Which I haven't put on there. But you could, if somebody came up to you and said, wer ist Ihr Bruder? Then it's a possibility they also mean who is your brother. Because when you're hearing it, you don't know if somebody's written it or if the ear is with a capital letter or not. Because nobody's writing it, somebody's only typing it.
What did John say earlier? No, it doesn't matter. Right. Okay. So this has been.
What it really is you need to look at these sentences in context and not looking at one sentence like "Wer ist Ihr Bruder?" and then panic because, oh, what's this here? What does it mean? Yeah, there is always something around the text, either usually beforehand, because like I said in English, you wouldn't talk about him or her or yours or anything without something beforehand. Yeah, you don't come home and you're saying, is that his car outside? Because I would say, whose car? Who are you talking about?
Indeed. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
And that's, instead of panicking next time anybody sees the word ear, have a look what's been written already. When they're speaking, that may be a little bit more tricky because you may have forgotten already what they said. But there's always a clue, a verb ending, or when you're reading it, speech marks, capital letters, or any text beforehand that will tell you whether ear means your or her or you or there.
And there you have it. This has been
Easy.
Ask Angelika, episode 32, live from BeLive.tv with Angelika Davey and Stephen Healey. And it's now over to Angelika to close with words of wisdom for the weekend.
Words of wisdom for the weekend. Okay. If you think I've got it and you'd like to practice a bit with ear, one suggestion would be find a German text. Now, I can't guarantee that the word ear is in there, but I actually done it yesterday and I found a text with two times ear in there straight away. So if you find a German text, don't worry about reading it. Just scan it for the word ear and then see if you can work out what it was. I've just seen the contact. Chocolate cake was easier. Yes, I agree. Now, what would help is if you go and get the chocolate cake recipe from 2 weeks ago, make the cake, make yourself a coffee, sit down with a coffee and piece of cake, read a bit of German text and find out what the word ear means. That should keep you busy for the weekend.
You walked into that one, John. You did. Enjoy the chocolate cake. I hope you do make the recipe and send some down to Wiltshire. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time.
Yes.
2 weeks' time.
We'll do something easier again then, shall we?
Okay. Well, no, it all helps build up. I mean, you can't not study. You can't wing it. You've got to learn, and there are things you've got to learn and take into your vocabulary and your understanding of the grammar. And the best way to that is to go to Udemy, check out Angelika's courses. But less about that. And it's Tschüss von mir.
Und Tschüss von mir.
Auf Wiedersehen. Thank you, everybody. Bye for now.